Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another movie chat with me, Joe Mayo, and also Tim Allen and Tom Hagnotti. And we're trying to do this on a weekly basis. Right now, we're looking at Thursdays, more or less, around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's see if we can make it a regular thing. And apparently, George, Music for All Four Seasons, was waiting for a while here before we got started. And all right, so yeah, I don't know what to say because not many people are here. It's always the same awkward beginning, because I got to think we got to think about things to talk about in the beginning. Although if the audience hasn't arrived yet, too much, they're coming in now. I see. We gotta try to pace yourself somehow on what you're going to talk about. Let's see. So, as far as how about some finds? Anybody find anything? Buy anything?
Yeah. I got one thing this week. It's the latest Criterion, and Tim, you might like this because it's during the silent era, and it's Criterion just re-released Pandora's Box, the German film from 1929, and they did release this on DVD a long time ago, and then now they finally upgraded it to Blu-ray. So it's been a while since I've watched this, and I will be watching this real soon. So this was the latest, my latest pickup right here.
Excellent. Tim, how about yourself?
I just picked up two very cheap DVDs that I didn't have. One, I don't even know if it's good. I have no idea. But I didn't have Gremlins. So for a
I
buck,
like the first one. Yeah.
For a buck on Blu-ray, I picked it up.
Always like
I
the
haven't
first one.
seen it.
Second one now. That one's
Yeah.
that one's
Yeah.
a challenge.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in years. And fairly recent film, but I know nothing about it, but it was a buck again. So Richard Dreyfuss is the astronaut.
Wow, how come I didn't hear of that?
Is he?
Nobody knows anything about this. I remember seeing a commercial or two for it when it came out, but other than that, I know nothing about it. If it was any good, if it's, I have no idea.
Jeez, so, wow. So sorry. How to get rid of Tim? I got rid of Tim somehow. Okay, that's incredible. I mean, you hear these movies that nobody's talked about.
Go straight to video, probably.
No, it played in a theater. It's at least 5 years old. It's pre-pandemic, so it played in a theater.
Joker was a joke. The new Joker.
It was.
Hello, Cherry Carter. And we got Mike here. Oh yeah, 30. It makes me feel older because I remember seeing it when it premiered in the movie theater. It was really one of those great movie experiences that I like when something stands out in my memory. Oh, it was great. Enjoying it late at night. I think I saw it like 10 o'clock or something like that, 11 o'clock. So the scene, I always say, when John Travolta comes back with Uma Thurman at night, I feel like, it's late, so I had that late feeling. Let's see now. James, good evening. James Gracia, and then you have James Farley. Hello. Beetle Babe, what's going on? Well, someone had to enjoy Joker, and that someone was me.
Right. Well, I think she mentioned that last week, and I said that even though I didn't love it or anything like that, there are a few redeeming moments in there, but other than that, I think as a movie as a whole, it is a bad movie. Just real quick, just breaking news for the Beatles fans and all of us that Ringo will be dropping the first single from his forthcoming country album tonight. Apparently.
Oh, tonight! Oh, I got to get ready to make a video.
Yeah.
As usual. I like Richard Dreyfuss. I've seen a lot of things he's in. Excuse me, but I never saw The Competition. Anybody else?
Nope.
I may have seen a scene or two, but no, I've never seen the whole film.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, who designed the thumbnail for the movie chat? Joe's image projected onto a screen. Did you do that, Joe? Well, I googled different pictures of theatrical screenings and things, and I found one I liked, and then it was a blank white screen. So you just take the photo and put it on there, boom, and that's it. So there's the magic, you know. Um, let's see. We got one here. Hi guys, just bought two DVDs recently. Trapeze with Tony Curtis and Gina Lopez
And
Bridger.
Burt Lancaster.
Three of them?
Yeah, Burt Lancaster's in that too.
Oh, there you go. The three of them. There you go. I don't know this one. The 1973.
Amarcord. For Federico Fellini, Amarcord.
Yeah,
Great film. Great purchase there, Mark. I love that film. Great Italian film.
All righty there. Okay. There's a movie with Steve McQueen that everybody talks about, and it's very popular. It's Bullitt.
Yes.
I still haven't seen it officially. At one time, I remember seeing just the car chase, and today it was on Turner, and I wasn't really watching. I was doing other stuff, but it was on the background, so I do not count it as seen. That's not the way I watch movies. However, I got a feeling about Bullitt. It was very quiet. It seemed quiet and not a lot of loud, raucous noise and action and stuff. What do you think about that? You guys are familiar with it, either one of you?
Oh yeah, I've seen Bullitt many times. I own it. Steve McQueen is a police detective. It is kind of quiet on the quieter side, but until you get to the famous car chase, which is fun because if you know San Francisco, I mean it's very hilly or very steep slopes, where so that makes the car chase pretty interesting, and it does get louder for that, but yeah, I enjoy it. I think Bullitt's a really good film.
Yeah, I don't know if because I didn't watch it the right way, but I just felt it was more laid back, and I don't know. It's not meant as a criticism.
Right.
It just meant as it was interesting. If anything, that made me more interested in seeing it. It just I don't know. It seemed more cerebral or something. Rather than being just
movies weren't always loud like they are today.
Yeah, right. But there was not a lot. It just seemed more like a thinking movie. I don't know. I have to give it a try. And it's funny because I did I wasn't watching it, but I did fall asleep. I take a little nap at that time, and sometimes what happens is if I hear something while I'm sleeping, it goes into the dream. So it must have been during the car chase because I woke up kind of midway through that, and I had a dream about somebody driving a dune buggy because I heard and all this kind of stuff. For what that's worth, just to fill out time here. I'm telling you that. That's the only reason.
I think there are hey Robert P. I think there can be a lot of these police detective or private eye films. I think there can be some lulls in these movies. I think about Long Good Friday or even Bullitt or even Harper or The Drowning Pool with Paul Newman. I think there are stretches where times where you're just maybe dozing off because it's just it's just not just as enjoyable as something maybe like Dirty Harry, which I think Dirty Harry, there's that one always seems like there's always something going on in that film.
Yeah, because I had no intention of really watching anything. I should have this today, but I was kind of tired. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I was like, well, if I'm going to do the show tonight here, I better get a little sleep. So I could have just had something in the background, knowing I was gonna drop off. So that's kind of what I had on. So, I never saw The Illustrated Man.
Yeah, Warner Archives released that. I did have that on DVD long ago, and it was interesting. I don't think it's one of Rod Steiger's better films, but it was interesting.
I've read the book, but I've never seen the film.
Was it illustrated?
No, the book wasn't illustrated. No.
Yeah, I know. Tom's seen The Swimmer.
Oh yeah. Well, Burt Lancaster's my second favorite actor. I've seen just about everything that he's done. And Swimmer is fantastic.
And he's supposed to go from swimming pool to people's houses.
Swimming pool. Yeah.
And what's the reason? What's he doing?
I mean, well, that's the story. I mean, that's the story. I mean, well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, but
these days,
I mean, it is
you get arrested for that.
Yeah,
which you should. You should.
Yeah. But it is interesting.
People swimming pools.
Well, he knows all these people, all these swimming pools that he's going to are his neighbors. So
he knows.
You come to find out, and you'll find out at the end of the film. Come to find out that he's got issues, So, but go ahead, read the comment.
No,
it's okay. There's nothing really to say.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say,
enjoy.
I love Antichrist. I love Lars von Trier. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker. I don't know if you've seen House of Thousand Corpses. I have no want or.
Well, first of all,
House of...
I watched The Devil's Rejects, which I loved.
Yeah.
I saw that in the movie theater. It was my first Rob Zombie film and the best Rob Zombie film, in my opinion. And then I hated just about everything else he did. But there was supposed to be a sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses. And then from what I'd heard, the first one, House of a Thousand Corpses, was supposed to be a little more on the comical side. Whereas Devil's Rejects was like a modern day 2004. It's 20 years old already. God, I'm going to be 82 in 20 years. Anyway, is going to be The Devil's Rejects, modern day Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's dead serious and pretty, disturbing, just like Texas Chainsaw was. So I did like that. Okay. What's the good word, Matchstick Man? Nice shirt. Thank you. Frankenstein shirt. My girlfriend bought me this. She's always looking out for me. She went away somewhere, and while she was there, I was in a shop, and she said, "Oh, let me get this." It's supposed to glow in the dark. I don't think we're going to be able to do that here right now. Like to see. House of a Thousand Corpses, totally bizarre, loony movie. Tim, do you know the first Criterion Laserdisc ever made?
Yeah, it's Citizen Kane. Is Criterion
Citizen Kane?
Was it
Citizen Kane or was it Citizen Kane or was it King Kong?
Citizen Kane.
Was it 01? Okay.
Good choices.
And then they redid it later. I don't know if they renumbered it when they redid it, but
they did when they started turning over to Blu-rays. Then it was Grand Illusion was number one.
Yeah, but but they redid it on Laserdisc at one point. There are two editions, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the one I have is the first one.
Okay.
And when I was delivering mail, I did deliver to somebody with the name Frankenstein, the real last name. So there you go. Rosebud. We won't spoil that.
Yeah.
Here you go. Citizen Kane is first King Kong after that.
Yeah.
Good job, Tim.
You have a favorite David Lynch movie?
Yeah, Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet is mine.
Yeah,
I never saw Eraserhead. I don't know, but
I haven't either, and I think I own it. I've just never seen it.
It's trippy.
Eraserhead. What was trippy. That? What was that? Well, I can tell you my least favorite, but I can't think of the name of it. Naked something. The one about the bug guy.
Oh, that's Cronenberg. That's Cronenberg.
I thought that was him. It's not.
Naked Lunch is Cronenberg.
Okay, well, I didn't like that film either. Anyway, I thought it was David Lynch though. Maybe because it was so weird, I just assumed it was.
Right.
Let's talk a little about movies we've seen. I'm going to start about the only one that I think the only one I saw. I went to the theater. I was saying I might see this. I was pretty sure I was going to see it, and that's Terrifier 3, of course. I saw the other two. I made a mistake by not seeing Terrifier 2 again to refresh my memory going into 3. So it's a movie that you wouldn't think so, but it's a movie that it benefits if you've seen the second one first, because there is some, believe it or not, there is some story stuff in there with characters from there. I was like, who are these people? A couple of people, I didn't know the situation. And that's because I'd forgotten, because it's been almost close to 2 years since I saw it. This is part two. Anyway, it's what I expected. You go to the movies for this. It is not for everybody. Same, talking points here. Not for everybody. It's gore all over the place. Gore for the sake of gore. Although there's a story to it too, and there's, what they call the final girl. That's the heroine and all this, which I like. I thought she was very good, and the character that does this mayhem, Art the Clown, has become amazingly iconic. David Edward Thornton, and he's up there with all the other ones: Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers. He's a new modern day icon. But I've seen many gory movies, and I've seen them from different countries, whether it's Italy, Japan. I've seen a lot of these things. This might be the goriest movie I ever saw, and that's really saying something. But for some reason, it's the way it's done with his Art the Clown's flamboyant attitude in between, and his charisma and his silliness is kind of like, it's just weird, because it's kind of like funny in places too. But you have to, if you're not ready for this stuff, and a lot of people I know are not, they couldn't care less. Always I feel I got to keep my reputation on the line, straight on the line, by saying I prefer older movies, Frankenstein, movies like this. These are my favorite horror movies. I'd rather it be subtle. Now, for example, there is a chainsaw scene in this, which is like, how much time can you spend doing everything with a chainsaw to a couple of people? I mean, things you wouldn't even imagine they could think of. All right. But when I saw like a chainsaw scene in, say, Scarface, the Al Pacino Scarface, that was a little more unsettling even. I mean, this is just gross out, whereas that one was more scary, because you had, if you remember Scarface, you had a situation where the guy was like strung up in a hotel room, in a bathtub, and you don't really see everything. You may see a little blood spattering, but you don't see everything being cut. And then if you remember, there's a scene where their friends are outside and supposed to come in to help them out. If they don't hear from them within like a certain amount of time, they got to come in. So the camera pans out in the middle of all this carnage. It pans out to them on the street with the car. A lot of people know the movie, and they're flirting with the girls. The guys are flirting with the girls, and you're thinking, well, when are they going to realize that they haven't heard from their friends? They better get up there and see what's going on. Then they go back to this thing, and then the guy just simply with the chainsaw will turn at the camera and go, "Now the leg, huh?" Like that. That's all he says. Like, oh my God. You're like imagining things. You don't see anything. This thing you see everything, and I'm talking about. Try to imagine where you could stick a chainsaw, all right? And that's all I'm saying. Trying to make it.
I've told a few people where to stick one.
You know what I mean? So it's a different thing. But out of the three so far, I think they're getting, and I hesitate to say this, better as they go. That none of these are good movies per se, but I always say, if I'm going to rate a movie, how is it as a movie? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1, 2, right? How is it as a horror movie? 7. How is it as a gore film? 10. So it's, what do you want? I don't blame you, Mix 64. Don't blame you at all. And I do agree. A lot of people have said, might even be Hitchcock. I'm thinking a lot of people have said, the masters have said, what you imagine is much more shocking than what what they're going to show you, like in your own mind. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 4. I'll be honest with you, and it is going to be in the works. And this thing made so far 18 million. I think it was, Tom, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I can look up at the latest for you, but over the weekend it did do 18, and it only cost $2 million to make. So there you go. So, I mean,
So
obviously, I think he said that he's already working on a part four.
yeah,
We're at 23 million now for from Tuesday up to Tuesday. So, and worldwide it's at 28. It's on for almost 5 million internationally. So you're looking at 28 million, 28.5 so far
wow.
on a $2 million
And
budget. So
the writer director is Damien
yeah,
Leone, and I was interested after, so I watched some interviews with him. And again, he's a he's a 40-year-old guy. He's a regular. He's not a little out there. He doesn't seem a little like you know, uh, what do they call it? One can short of a six pack or anything. He doesn't. He seems like an normal guy. Just this is how it is. So
right,
anyway, that's that from me. And I'm
yeah.
supposed to see maybe Smile 2. It's another
Well, see,
horror
I was going to
movie.
ask you. I was going to ask you that because I know at some theaters, like I was talking about in Two Legs on the live earlier, some theater chains will start showing new movies on Thursdays, and then that's how I've been seeing a lot of movies
Oh,
lately is
really?
on Thursdays. Yeah, so you might be able to see it a day earlier if you look.
Oh,
But
well,
I was going to ask you if you're going to see Smile too.
I really like the first one, Smile. That's one that somebody made up for me. This guy I know just made a copy up for me, and I liked it. And I had more to it than just a lot of. If I remember, I did a review on it. More than just a lot of just horror for the sake of horror. So it's more interesting. I always said I think the best movies that I've liked in my life have strong characters and or stories. You know,
Mhm.
unless you just say, look, I'm going to see Rambo, the one, the later one, Rambo, just to see
Right.
him kill everybody, and that's it. If you can do that, you can say, well, I'm not going to have any sensibilities for this one. I'm just going to let it check it all and just go for the ride. But I got a little off track with that. But yeah, so the thing is, I don't remember First Smile very well. So again, am I going to watch it again before I go? Maybe I could like read about it. You know. Oh, and one last thing about Terrifier 3. Although I was a little confused because I didn't remember the second one. Once I read about it, reread the original and I got reacquainted. Oh yeah, that's right. And then I remembered everything, so
Mm.
it came together. So let's see. Hello, Darren. Eraserhead was very much an audio film as much as a visual
Yeah,
film.
I think
Sound.
that's accurate, very accurate. The sound effects on Eraserhead, and even like something like Twin Peaks, where it uses a lot of sound effects that very effectively. Um,
Yeah.
it's a nice tool.
I watched Ben Hur again. I haven't seen it in like 20 years. I agree, it's one of the best films ever made. Well, to me, again, I haven't seen every movie ever made, but to me, the films that I've seen, it's like the best film ever made. It won all those awards. I mean, on it for everything, So it has it all. Uh, oh, Peter, I hate these horror films so much I can't even stand people talking about them. I don't understand how you can like watching gore. The real world is full of horror. Hey, look, if you don't get it, it's like Dylan's voice. Can Dylan sing or not? Why do you listen to Dylan? If you don't get it, you don't get it, and that's fine. I understand why people don't want to watch them. I get it, and I still say because it's all make believe. It's an escape. Believe it or not, it's an escape. It's so outrageous. It's so over the top. The director says cut. They laugh. They wipe the blood off their face. The killer helps wipe the blood, and then they go and they have dinner and they're friends, and it's all make believe. We used to pretend. That's what it is, and it's all just a roller coaster ride. I'm a little more concerned sometimes with people that can't watch them. I mean, those are the ones I want to watch out for. Maybe but oh no way. You can watch that. I think I got stuck seeing that once too with my girlfriend maybe.
Hmm. Oh well. Mm.
I think I saw Sleepless in Seattle too. You know,
That was good. You've Got Mail wasn't as good. Sleepless in Seattle's okay.
is
It's
that the
not
one? What's
great.
just the one that's a remake of the classic? Is that the one? Cary Grant one. Maybe I'm
I
mixing
don't
them
recall.
up with another movie. I
Yeah, I
thought.
know one of them is like a remake.
An affair to remember? Is that no? Am I talking
No,
to
but that has
myself?
nothing to do with an affair to remember,
Uh,
which is another movie I like, by the way.
Meg Ryan. See, I could watch. Like I remember seeing the movie theater when Harry Met Sally.
Hmm.
And I enjoyed that as a comedy at the time. And it was also from a man's perspective too. They had the man's perspective, the woman's perspective.
Hmm.
So, all right. It's also, despite it sounding counterproductive, actually a really common thing for people with anxiety to actually enjoy horror, since it gives your mind a structured environment to give permission to your mind to be scared without it being disruptive. A lot of people think it's like a therapy thing. I mean, I know that I never had nightmares. I used to tell people I didn't even know what a nightmare was like because I never had one, and that was because I think because I just grew up watching horror films, and so I got if I had any tensions or demons or whatever, I kind of like exercised them through watching these things. And then in recent years, since I've been with my girlfriend, because she does not like these kind of movies, I don't watch them. Not because I'm not allowed, but because she's just if she's around, I'm not going to watch it. I wait till she's not around. So if we're hanging out, I watch. You can't watch it with her there, but she's not there. But because I watched less of these movies, I found I was becoming more sensitized to them. I know this is a topic I bring up a lot. I was becoming more sensitized, and I was
Hmm.
getting starting to have nightmares for the first time. So I'm wondering if there's any truth to that.
Yeah.
You know, oh, maybe that is that what it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that could be. That could be.
oh, Seattle was a remake of a Fair to Remember. Yeah, I remember something like that. They go to the top of the Empire State Building or something to meet
Yeah,
or
but it's
something.
not. But it's not because Fair to Remember is all about the woman gets crippled on her way, and now and so
Right.
that's a huge part of the movie, and so I say it's not because I mean you could take the same sort of story, but the ending is certainly very very different.
But that's a Jimmy Stewart movie, isn't it? Is that or it's
Yeah.
The Shop Around the
Well, Fair to
Corner, yeah,
Remember, yeah, it's
it's
Jimmy,
it's a
and then
movie
Fair
that
to
spent
Remember,
many
yeah, and Fair to Remember
years
was
in
Cary
post
Grant.
coming.
yeah. Cary Grant is the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha, Nick.
Yeah.
CD
So,
man, Nick.
yep, yep.
So
Cool.
now you guys, let's talk about what you guys watched. Tom, how about starting with you? Did you see any? I think you did. You told me.
Yeah, yeah. I went to the theater yesterday and I saw the documentary called Super Slash Man, which is the documentary on Christopher Reeve and the terrible accident that he was involved in while horse riding. And let
Mm.
me tell you, this was a tearjerker. I mean, it was really sad, but in many ways, not just in the accident, but with the family issue too. It's like here's a guy that he could never impress his father. His mother after the accident, his mother wanted him to take him off the ICU or whatever it's called, the what was keeping him alive. I mean, he was involved in a relationship where he never didn't want to get married, and then left, and then the next woman he had the serious relationship, he did get married, and then she died 18 months after he died. So
Wow.
yeah, well, it was and the story is told from his children, in a way, and it goes through his history and how he was never able to find success on screen, like he did with the Superman movies. But oh my, I mean the strength and courage he had after the accident to keep going and to make appearances and start
So
a
he's amazing.
foundation yeah, to start a foundation to help other paraplegics. It was really amazing, and it's a very very moving documentary that I recommend very much, especially if you like Christopher, you like Superman. They go through all of that, and
Don't forget Death
I,
Trap.
yeah, well, they talk about that too. They show that. They did talk a lot about him and Robin Williams and how they were such close friends. They were roommates at Cornell, I believe that's what the college was, and their friendship all throughout. throughout his life. And yeah, so it was very moving. Yeah, I really have no interest in seeing that movie. Maybe I should. I will check out Death Trap though, for sure.
And I hope they didn't talk too much about it. Well, see it before you find out too much about it. But the thing is, I would never want to see this movie either. But in fair play, the girlfriend, she's the kind of stuff she likes. So we watched that one time, and I'm like, oh, come on, man, it's not for me. And the thing that gets me about it is, again, I've said I went on record before that I can't stand people who try to watch a movie and they're like, oh, I can't believe that would never happen. Oh, how could this be? How could that be? And I never get into that because if you can't follow a plot point or something, you're not going to enjoy the movie. But I'm sitting here. You mean to tell me if I lay on the bed enough and I convince myself I'm going back in time, I can actually go back in time? Then I want to go back to the day in '66 where the Butcher cover for the Beatles was released, and I want to buy them all up. Come on. I mean, I wish they found some other way they were getting him back in time other than willing himself back into time. But you have to accept it, otherwise there's no movie.
Right. I mean, there's that. I mean, I will check out Death Trap, and there's this other movie he did too, called Street Smart, I believe it was called, with Morgan Freeman's in that. I think it came out in '87 or '88. I do want to see that one as well. But man, this was a really moving documentary. So I definitely recommend. It's in theaters now.
Well, I got to tell you, they keep calling it a torture genre. Well, they're basically talking about, I guess, the Saw series, which I like very much. And the reason I like it is because of now again, is protagonist the hero or the villain? The villain, Jigsaw. His reasons that you have to see the movies, okay? He has cancer and he's trying to help people appreciate life more and that kind of thing. It sounds crazy, but he puts them through these tests and things. That was the angle that I liked about it. It had so that's the ones that's really a torture genre is the Hostel film. Hostel. Excuse me. HOA. Okay. And those are horrifying to me, but they're horrifying to me for that very reason. There's a crazy hunting club or something that underground that only certain people know about on the internet or whatever. And if you want, you can join a club where you torture people and they get people for you and stuff like that. And the idea of it is what's sickening to me. That's horrifying to me. I remember Quentin Tarantino, I think, once doing a commentary somewhere talking about the film and said, I hope they make more sequels or something, because what I want to know is what more about this club. He says, can you imagine what the hell, how does this work? And how do they get people? That's what they did in the second one and the third one. But that's what I think. They're just two guys playing golf in the second one. I think it's the second one. And they check their phone. Oh, they're bidding on like who they want. You can take your pick. What type of person, that's what the sick part. What the stuff that happens, the physical stuff that happens, that's you got to take the bad with the good. But it's the other idea of it that's horrifying to me. And if it wasn't horrifying to me, then I'd worry. If somebody likes it and getting off on it, then I'd worry. But if you're horrified, I wouldn't worry so much. Thanks for turning me on to the Blob Criterion. Yep. Barnes & Noble had it. It's on the way to me. I almost watched that today. Believe it or not. When I saw Bullitt was going to be on, I said, oh, maybe I'll put the Blob on again. But I didn't. So, yeah, well, that's the thing. Things like that. What's horrifying about the Hostel series is it's feasible that it could happen. It seems feasible, Sorry, this isn't movie related, but thoughts on the upcoming Bob Dylan and Barbra Streisand duet, which will be on her new album. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, apparently Paul McCartney's also doing a duet with her as well. So that is, I mean,
is her voice that bad these days that she's going for people that can't sing a note anymore just to make her look good? Is that what she's doing?
I don't know about that.
Yep, Sting apparently is in there as well. So,
yeah, I mean, Dylan. I've always liked Dylan, even when as his voice kept changing for the worse and everything. But there's in my opinion, only certain things that I can take him singing, like, you know what I mean. When he did Things We Said Today,
Yeah.
the Beatles song, I thought it was abysmal, you know. But when he's doing his own snide, sarcastic, whatever kind of songs, and some of the, you know, I like the way he sounded on the Tempest album. There's a song in the Tempest album from 2012. That's an old album now too, called "Pay in Blood," and it's about, you know, it's an anti-politician song and stuff like that. It's very cynical song, and his voice is like, you know, and it fits it really good to me, you know, that song. So, believe it, believe I've never seen those two movies. I have no interest in the topics.
I love both, but going back to Dylan, I remember the first time I heard Tweeter and the Monkey Man, and I was like, oh my god, what the hell's wrong with his voice? You know?
Yeah.
And that was what, 88?
Yeah. He wishes he could sing like that now.
Right. All right. Yeah, exactly. I remember hearing him, and when I got into Dylan, I got into Slow Train Coming. Got to Serve Somebody, and I thought that was horrible vocals. Now it's pretty good now for him. I don't think of that as being that awful. Yeah, as far as, I mean, I'd see Lawrence of Arabia before I saw Dr. Zhivago.
Lawrence of Arabia is good. Lawrence of Arabia is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I call it its sister film, Bridge Over the River Kwai. They're both fantastic.
Another one I'm not interested. I don't know. There's just certain topics and settings.
Right.
But sometimes that can spoil a good movie for you because you think you might not like it.
Well, you said you weren't into war films anyways, right?
Yeah, but even there, like, I'm not really into war films, but like, I remember when I was going crazy with Kubrick, I saw Paths of Glory.
Yeah.
And I remember liking it.
But neither one is a war film per se, like you know, like a John Wayne war film in the 40s, or you know, they're not that kind of war film. You know,
what, these movies that we mentioned?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm not talking about them as war films. I'm giving a war film as an example, another example.
Yeah, but they are sort of war films, but they're not your typical, you know, war film.
Like that, you know, on the desert and camels and whatnot. Yeah. Maybe there's a lot more to it than that, you know.
There is.
But, you know. That's what I like to hear. That's right. Smile 2 and then Terrifier 3 in the cinema. Yeah, that's right.
Lawrence of Arabia was one of the first things I ever saw on Laserdisc, and it just made me fall in love with lasers.
Well, of course, you know, you need to see, I mean, obviously, I'm sure it was in the right aspect ratio, but that's something that you could see it on the big screen.
Right.
Well, it's in the right aspect on the, you know. And at that point in time, TVs were still 4:3, so you know, it was fine.
Pan and scan, yeah.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. It was. You know, it's in the right aspect ratio.
Took a gamble on Dr. Zhivago. Thought it'd be boring, but I ended up loving it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a love story at its core, but I mean, there's a lot going on in that movie. I think Dr. Zhivago is just as good as Lawrence of Arabia.
It's like Last Tango in Paris. Do I ever want to see that? I don't know. For Marlon Brando, maybe I would see it, but
I think you should see it.
You know, because it depends. Again, it depends what you're into. You know, it's a lot. To me, this is a lot like my records and music interest. It's like, you got to listen to this record. Oh, you got to watch this movie. If you're a movie, I'm not claiming anywhere to be this movie completist. I always say, or movie guru who knows and watches everything. No way am I claiming that. Just whatever I see, I see. Oh, that's a line from Honeymooners. This is coming to you very live, not on film. I've never seen Eyes Wide Shut. I've seen every other Kubrick film. Is it worth it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's a great relationship, but kind of like very raw. I mean, I didn't like it at first. It took me several viewings of it to really appreciate Eyes Wide Shut, but I think it's one of his better films.
I've only seen it once, so I'll never like it.
Yeah, I know that people. It's been mixed. I've heard a lot of reactions to that.
Yeah. look,
And I like
it's in my
Clockwork
top 10.
Orange, but
Clockwork Orange is in my top 10 films. I love it, but I've got a history with it.
well, that happens. Well, I always tell the story. Well, a little story that I saw it the first time, really liked it, was effective.
Right.
Then I saw it again. I
Right.
showed it to my nephew one time, and it wasn't as disturbing to me the second time.
Well,
So,
it won't be until I think you finally get to its core of what the film is really about. But I mean, well, how old was your nephew when you showed it to him?
I don't recall now. Not that young. I mean,
Yeah.
30 maybe, late 20s.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
mean, it didn't do it for me. The second
Right.
time. That's why I'm second. I saw it
Right.
already, and the second time it didn't do it as much for me. But I still own it. I'd give it another view.
Yeah. I mean, it's horror. I mean, I think you can classify it as like a horror
Yeah,
film, just in different ways.
yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I used to buy horror magazines, and they would have one called
Yeah.
Castle of Frankenstein, which was a more advanced one that would have maybe more explicit stuff in there. And that's when it was a new movie, Clockwork Orange, and I remember seeing stuff in there that bordering on porn and all this, and it was like really kind of
Right.
like stuff
Right.
like that. Then it was a shock. You didn't see stuff like that, you know, too much in magazines, mostly for kids. You thought, but uh, you won't believe it's not butter.
All
Beautiful
right.
cinema. I guess we're talking about. I'm assuming we're talking about Eyes Wide Shut. I don't know. It could
Or
be anything,
Dr. Zhivago. Dr. Zhivago has great
because
cinematography.
by the time we get to a question, yeah, we talked about. Oh, I got to tell you something. Remind me about Vertigo again, please. Uh, uh, love the Mel Brooks film High Anxiety,
Mm.
which I still have never seen in its entirety. I've seen a lot of Mel Brooks films, but well, what's the most miscast film? Oh, it's hard to think of that. I mean, there's a lot of them, but can you just pick it out of thin air? I mean.
I mean, yeah, I was watching. Well, I mean, a lot of people thought that Interview with the Vampire with Tom Cruise in it was a miscast.
Oh, well, I don't. I
Um,
liked. I mean, I was
uh,
fine with it, but I didn't have any preconceived knowledge or expectations from the book
right.
or anything. I just went in cold, and I thought it was
Mm,
very. I thought it was well cast actually, but I didn't know. I don't have anything. By the way, I just wanted to say about Vertigo. Okay, Vertigo is one of those films. I only saw it once. I saw it on a VHS tape. I found it excruciatingly dull, and I'm like, this is one of the greatest movies ever made. So I need to see it again the right way, and I want to see it. The whole thing the right way, and not the way it was intended to be, and all that. So the other day, I'm looking at Turner Classic Movies, and I just happened to turn it on. It was on in the middle of the movie or something, and there's a scene with Jimmy Stewart and some guy talking in an office, and I'm like, I watched like 5 minutes. I'm like, and again, you got to understand, I like talking. I could tell you tons of movies where it's just talk, And it's not that I
right.
can't handle the cerebral stuff. You want to talk about Andromeda Strain? A lot of people I know don't like the Andromeda Strain because it's over 2 hours of just like scientists trying to find a cure and nothing really happened. So I can take it, but again, I'm only there for 5 minutes, so I'm still not done. I want to see the whole thing. Yes, Tim loves that movie, so there he goes.
Well, I saw its debut after they remastered it and fixed
So
it
yeah,
up
so
at
did
the
I.
Uptown in DC in 70 millimeter. And I never
Yeah.
liked the film until I saw it in 70 millimeter at the Uptown. And then, wow, this was amazing.
Yeah, I saw that too, Tim, here, and that was the first time I saw the movie. So it knocked me out right away.
Yeah, I think it knocked me out in a different way, but I want to see it the right damn way, and I'm gonna give it. And I'm talking about open minded. I'm not talking about all right, sitting
Well, you
like
know what
this.
we're gonna do?
I
We're
want to
gonna
see it.
put you
It's
in
a
a
great
chair.
movie.
We're gonna put you in the chair like the one they did with Malcolm
No, you don't have
in
to do
Clockwork
that.
Orange,
No,
and
no,
we're
no.
gonna clamp your eyes.
Oh, to keep me from falling asleep. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, keep you from falling asleep.
But I'm gonna see it the right way again. I mean, it's been many. I mean, I probably saw this in the '90s, maybe. It might
Mm.
even have been the '80s. It was a long time ago. Yeah, I know Tom's seen the Substance.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. It's a wacky ending, but it is fantastic. I cannot wait to see that one again.
Well, I got it. I want to say, as much as I want to say, Nicolas Cage is what I really want to say for Miscast Dracula. I'm going to go with this guy. Only diehards will know what this is. Named Zandor Vorkov. That's not his real name. I think his name was Richard Engel. And it's a movie called Dracula versus Frankenstein, a real cheapie by Al Adamson, a real low budget director. And I mean, he's got this big curly hair, like afro thing, and a goatee. I mean, Dracula don't look anything like that. But yeah, so that's my most miscast Dracula for me. Anybody else have any Draculas?
What's his name? The guy from Godfather 3, the tan guy.
George Hamilton.
George Hamilton. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. For Love at First Bite.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yes.
Oh, De Niro,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, that's the guy from Terry Gilliam from Monty Python. That's another movie where it was an edit hell where there's like 3 or 4 different versions of that film, and it just got butchered by the studio, and it got later released with other edits that made the film better and more of what Terry Gilliam wanted it to be.
How in the world did I forget the overrated Bram Stoker's Dracula? Look, you know what it is? Gary Oldman is such a good actor, such a fine actor, that I can't really think of that. But he's not Bram Stoker's Dracula in that movie. He's nothing like it. The description in the book, So I mean, it's not a favorite Dracula film of mine. Sorry, Oh, there's somebody that wasn't impressed by Citizen Kane. See, I was impressed by it when I finally got around to it.
Yeah,
I was impressed.
I can understand how some people might not be impressed by it.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, I think it takes more than one watching. I wasn't that impressed by it the first time I saw it, but now I think, it's definitely one of, if not the greatest film ever made. It's amazing.
Oh, I do want to say something. How could I forget this? I don't know if Beetle Babe is still here, but she's a Judy Garland fan and so forth. And when I was on Turner again, I go around the dials and what's on? A Star is Born, the Judy Garland one. Okay. Now the movie is about 3 hours long, and I was in at the 2-hour mark. So what the hell? But somehow I I watched the last hour.
Yeah.
That's a movie I would think I wouldn't really interested in either. And I remember there's a rant video I made where Mikey Arugula was trying to get me to watch the one with Lady Gaga and what were the other.
Oh, so you're admitting it now? Who it was?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I'm admitting it.
Well, we all knew, Tom. We all knew.
We all knew who it was.
Everybody knew it was him. But anyway, so I'm watching it, and it got more and more interesting. I don't know the story at all, but James Mason, was in it too, and I was really getting it was emotional.
It's a great story. I mean, they've made it 4 times. It has to be a good story if they made it 4 times.
Yeah, 4 times. Yeah, and Mason was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's my favorite one. I haven't ever seen I haven't seen the last 2. But I think it's way better than the first one. The first one's good, but the second one's better.
Yeah. So so I did like what I saw. That's not, like I said, that's not the way to watch a movie. But sometimes for whatever reason, I just had the idea. So maybe I'll see the whole thing now. At some point. I mean, I won't go if it's on Turner, maybe. But I would go out of I wouldn't go buy it or anything. Or
I have it on Blu-ray. I love it. Yeah.
The Coppola Dracula film is a nice looking movie, and there's things I did like about it, actually.
Oh, okay. So you want miscast?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Keanu Reeves is a huge miscast in that film.
Yeah, that's one of the big miscasts of film history.
Yeah.
Miscastings. Yeah, going back to A Star is Born, favorite one, Judy Garland. Well, I learned a lot of things about it from Beetle Bay because she was telling me about that. We could say it's Liza, not Liza Minnelli, she likes Liza Minnelli. Judy Garland was pregnant, and it shows in some scenes and how this movie was like it's still not complete, and they have parts that have pictures but no sound and
Right.
sound.
Well, because of some of the footage I thought was destroyed or just gone, and they constructed it with just they had the audio, so they constructed it with stills. So you did get to see that part then in the movie,
Well,
or you
I
didn't?
saw the end, the end of it. I don't remember that happening.
Yeah.
With stills,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
seeing.
It's still you have the audio in there, so they just replaced it with stills from the film. But I don't remember if the footage was destroyed or what happened to that footage. But the audio is there.
It probably got cut on a reissue or
Yeah,
something, and then they just
yeah,
chucked it because that's what they did then.
Yeah, there's only one complete
yeah,
print left that a private
yeah,
collector has, and I
yeah,
refuse to relinquish it. I can't stand people like that.
yeah.
Sorry, is that
Yeah.
you, Melody? Do you have that Melody? You got that copy in that house? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
But yeah. Let's see. No, I didn't get to see that part. That's way earlier. I
way
was just
earlier.
telling him
Yeah, that's
about it.
right. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
I mean, I'm no Judy Garland fan when it comes to like her music and stuff. She's okay, but all my favorite stuff she's ever done besides Over the Rainbow is in that film though.
Mm.
When I forget what song it is it that something about that man of mine or something when she's in the jazz club and just starts what a performance. It's like holy
Mm.
crap. She was just good.
Oh, back to this first. It's someone with kids who already have it in their will that the kids are not to sell it either.
Much.
The Man That Got Away, yes. What a performance.
Yeah, that movie, Meet Me in St. Louis or in St. Louis. I saw that in a movie theater. My girlfriend likes that. It was good. It's a good movie, and I love Judy Garland's hair in that. By the way.
Yeah.
So,
Miss most disappointing film. I'll give you one that I was really disappointed with, and it's called movie's called Showtime, and that's with Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro. And here you've got two of the biggest swearers in film history. And what do? They make the movie PG-13, right? So you can't hear, you don't get any of them swearing. And then Righteous Kill was very
oh yeah,
disappointing
that was
film.
disappointing.
You know,
It's a wasted
with
opportunity. I hate
Pacino.
wasted opportunity
Yeah,
movies like that.
yeah,
They got
yeah,
Pacino and De Niro together, and you have a crap movie.
yeah, yep.
Although they were in Heat, but I still have never seen Heat all the way either.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
But now I want this. Was interesting for me. How is the third and fourth remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Do you want to talk about something enough already? That's one of those movies. First of all, I grew up liking the old horror films, the black and white ones. I saw them all pretty much growing up, but somehow I don't know how I never saw Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the Kevin McCarthy 1956 classic. So the first one I saw was when I was 16. The first movie I ever went to by myself. Oh, really? Was that big? I went to see Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Donald Sutherland in 1978. I went there on a matinee on a Saturday or something. Anyway, I really liked it. And to this day, that's my favorite version because I saw it. Then I went back and saw the Kevin McCarthy. I thought, this is what can happen to sometimes with modern audiences, like young people today. They didn't grow up with the old ones. Sometimes I feel like them. I'm like, wow, the original one, it's black and white. It's not as intense. So I like the Sutherland one the best. Then I saw.
So that's the third one then.
The Sutherland one is the second one. The third one is I think 93. Which is terrible if I remember. I think it's just called Body Snatchers. I think it takes place on an army base if I remember. And I wouldn't even see the one with I think Nicole Kidman was in one of them.
Nicole Kidman, yeah.
I just wouldn't see enough. That's how I feel personally. But there are exceptions. There's exceptions that you might see something again.
That was Daniel Craig as well.
The second one is a monster movie. The first one is an anti-communist film. I mean, they're almost different films, just using the same plot and script base. But the first one is an anti-communist film. I mean, the pods or they're turning everyone into communists is what you're supposed to get out of that.
And they don't even seem to me that they don't even seem that different. That they seem like themselves more in the first movie. Like
it's a red scare. A lot of 50s films like that are red scare films. Them is a red scare film too. The Ants of the Russians. Them is a red scare film too.
Well, I like the Sutherland one. The ending is I love the ending of the Sutherland film. So, if nobody knows it, I won't. I won't.
Can I talk about what I saw at some point?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, please, you remind me.
Wondering.
I can't remember everything. Thank you. Go ahead.
I am here.
It's not. Don't take it personally.
I'll talk about 4 films. The first one, I've only watched half of it, and I need to figure out a way, maybe get an app on my phone or something, because it's a really good film. It's a silent film from 1921 from Norway, the Netherlands, Sweden, somewhere in that part of the world. It's called The Phantom Carriage, and the copy I have only has all the intertitles are in Dutch or Swedish or whatever language it is.
Criterion released that, Tim.
Yeah, and my copy isn't official, but it doesn't have any subtitles or anything like that.
Right.
So I'm thinking I should probably download the Google Translation app and just pause it every time there's a thing and hold my phone up to the TV and read it and then go on. But it's well shot, well preserved. It could have been made yesterday, and I'm really enjoying it, but I don't know what it's about. I mean, I got some of it, obviously, but I don't know who these people are. I really don't know what's going on. Okay, so that's one film. I watched a really cheesy sci-fi film that I knew would be really bad, but it's a James Bond spoof starring Jeffrey Hunter called Dimension 5. And I wanted to watch it because Jeffrey Hunter's in it, who was originally cast as the captain in Star Trek and got replaced by William Shatner.
And he's my Jesus.
And it's also got, I forget his name, but Odd Jobs from the James Bond film. It plays the main villain, horribly dubbed.
Right.
And it's a movie where the main spy is Jeffrey Hunter, and he has this device that can make him go back in time up to 8 weeks or forward up to 8 weeks. Weirdly, it's just 8 weeks. But it kind of, thinking about it, it kind of ruins it, because if he can do that, every scrape he gets in, why doesn't he just use a time machine? Instead of all these harrowing things he goes through, why doesn't he just zap out of there? And it's kind of not a great film, but cheesy, spy thriller kind of thing. And I forget her name, but the Asian actress that's in it with him is really attractive, and she's better than he is in it, I think, by far. She kind of steals the show, along with Odd Job. They steal the show from Jeffrey Hunter, who's kind of bland. So that's on YouTube. If anybody, both of those are on YouTube. If anybody wants to see them. I also saw, speaking of Marlon Brando, I also watched the Morituri that I got the other day.
Yeah.
This was fantastic. What?
It's not bad.
What a great film, and it's not what I expected. And it takes place in World War II, and they're both Germans. One's a good German and one's a bad German, but may not be as bad as you think. And it's just, Brando is so good in it. But even Neil Brenner, who I've never liked, is really good in it too. But I think Brando is great in it.
Brando's good in it too. Brando's good in it too. I think this is like a really that '60s period where he's still good. He's still doing great performances in movies, but I don't think the
Yeah,
movies themselves are
yeah,
as good as say his performances are.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
not bad. I have it.
No,
Yeah.
I really like this, and there's only one woman in it, and I'm not going to say what happens to her, but it's not good. Um, so I watched this, highly
Well,
recommend it. Never heard of it before. I bought it the other day,
yeah,
and I really liked it.
There's a
yeah.
message about
And
the Phantom Carriage.
huh?
If you were interested at all.
The Criterion Collection put it out, Dusty.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you want, I
somebody
mean,
put it on
yeah.
YouTube, but see, I don't want to
Okay,
watch it on YouTube. I want to watch it on my big TV. I could watch it with subs
right,
here, probably, right, sitting right where I am.
right,
But I don't generally
yeah.
watch movies like that.
Mm.
Um, and I watched Zandy's Bride with Gene Hackman, and
Mm.
I have
Why does this look
it's good
familiar? Did
for
we
what
talk
it is.
about this? This looks familiar to me.
I bought it last week. I showed it last week, and
Oh,
I
that's what it
watched
was.
it.
Mm.
Okay.
And my problem with this movie is, and it's the reason I've never been a Gene Hackman fan. Has he ever played somebody that's like nice? Has he ever played a guy that you'd like to go have a drink with? I haven't
Absolutely.
seen
And
him.
the side
He's
adventure.
a hateful, despiteful, horrible person in every movie I've ever seen him in, and it's a problem because he's the main character.
Well, sometimes you need a nasty character in these movies. I don't know.
And who better than Gene Hackman to play one?
No, I'll take him in. I'll go side adventure. I'll go out, hang out with him any day. Accurate about Gene Hackman. Well, I just gave you one example, folks.
He's a scumbag.
Okay, you guys froze on me for a second. That's why I've been sitting here.
Oh man,
But
somebody said that
Liv
happened to me.
Ullman is good in it. But it's like the 1870s, and he's this lonesome rancher. So he orders a mail order bride, and she's his property, and that's it. And so he has some grape soda on their wedding night, if you know what I mean. And this is the kind of guy he is. But then you find out his father's exactly like him, so he's got everything he knows he's gotten from his father, and they're two despicable people. And but it's all you've got is her and him, and it's worth seeing, I guess, but I can't really recommend it as a great film because he's just I hated him.
Well, that's like Gone with the Wind. Like I couldn't get behind Gone with the Wind because I despise Scarlett O'Hara so much in it.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Come on. Is that the last one?
Yeah,
four,
that's.
Come on,
I finished my battle box, and I forget what the movie was, and I was telling Joe before the thing started. This is on his box. It was 2 Robert Mitchum cameos. This one he didn't even have a credit in the movie, but he does speak. He has 2 lines in the film. This is early. This is early 40s. I'm early to mid 40s, and he doesn't even have a credit. And there's like 4 pages of people in this movie credits, and he's not even in it.
He's not one of them.
No, he's not one of them.
Yeah, his bio is really good. There's a bio on him called what's it called? Baby, I Don't Give a Damn or something like that. That's really good.
This is from before. We were talking about bad lost opportunities in movies and things. Eddie Murphy and Dudley Moore being in a movie together is one of the worst things that I've ever seen in my life. Best defense. So we're up to speed, up to date, so to speak, on the comments. And I can't stay that long. The reason I've been doing this it's better for me at 5:30. Used to do them at 9 p.m. It's not
Right.
good. But I do have to leave here by another 15 minutes or so. So these things will only be like an hour 15,
right,
something like that.
There's one more
75
thing I
minutes.
do want to show. There's one more thing I do want to show, and I did pick up the new Al Pacino. This is authorized by Al. He wrote it. Sonny Boy just came out this week. So I do tend to hopefully get to this soon. And there's some really good pics in here um,
Oh.
of Al and his family and stuff like that. So if you're a Pacino fan, you know, give it a look.
Well, maybe by the time you're done reading that, you'll become more of a Pacino fan than a De Niro fan.
Never.
All right. Okay. So, what else is the good word, folks? We got some time left. If you have anything to add or bring up, or even if you guys think of anything. I'm trying to think if I watch it. I got, I actually have to write a list of things I've watched. And if anything, because things slipped my mind, even if I saw bits of things like I was talking about. So you found out I got the money, huh? Yes, there's a Criterion release of. Oh, I'm sorry. Mark asked a couple of questions about Freaks, I think, and I'm sorry that I forgot them. Like you said here, I wonder how disturbing the original ending of Freaks would have been if it didn't get cut. And I forget what the original one is. I
I don't
watched
remember
the documentary. I know it ends with the lady, the chicken lady, or whatever.
Yeah, right.
She's already pretty creepy enough as it is.
Yeah, they took care of her.
So Tom, did you ever get? I guess you didn't get around to watching The Seventh Victim yet.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, but you were talking a little bit about I Walked with. What did you talk about it? You said you watched it. I Walked with.
Yeah, I watched it.
What do you think? Because a lot of people think it's boring. Talk about boring, sleepy, talky films. That's what people often say.
Right.
But what do you think?
Well, I didn't find it to where it was sleepy or boring. I just felt maybe the plot was just not as interesting as other, zombie-esque films. But there were some interesting things in there. The whole voodoo type thing is kind of cool, and I like the fact that the brother of the guy whose wife is, I guess I don't want to spoil or anything, but you can kind of get a sense that maybe he was in love with her, or there was maybe some kind of love triangle, but I don't really think that was the case. But it's not bad. I mean, it looks fantastic.
See, that's a great example. That's the complete opposite. Oh, we needed. By the way, I'm glad to hear that because that needed a really good restoration. I Walked with a Zombie. The thing is, that to me is the complete polar opposite of something like Terrifier 3. That's all gore and all in your face. This is the epitome of like suggestive and like it's mood, it's atmosphere, shadows. And I love that. Exactly. I get into that. So it's Val Lewton production.
Yeah, it's Val Lewton production. Both films are Val Lewton productions, and commentaries on both. Which I listened to the commentary with the zombie one, and that was pretty good. So maybe I should watch Seventh Victim here soon.
Yeah, I still am not really. I don't really like that as much as I would like to like it. That's one of those movies. But I'll see it again because I just love that era and the feel. And it's like film noirish and.
Oh, definitely film noirish. Absolutely.
Anybody else see the movie 10 with Dudley Moore? I've never seen it, believe it or not. Bo Derek.
Well, Bo Derek. I mean, I guess for me that would probably be the reason why I would want to see it.
I've seen it a long time ago, and it is the only reason to see it. Really, it's not a great film.
I mean, she was not shy back then. Yes.
No.
I did see that. I do have that on. That's one of the DVDs I still own. Is that John Cazale documentary, which was a shame that he didn't do more interviews and stuff like that, like Johnny Carson show or whatnot. It's too bad there's not more of him. They weren't really able to show a lot of stuff with Johnny because he didn't do a lot of that kind of thing, which is a shame. So you got a lot of talking heads in that documentary. De Niro paid the insurance for him to be in The Deer Hunter because they weren't going to insure him for that film. Pacino's in there. It's a really good, strong documentary. It's just too bad that he didn't do more.
Overrated and underrated actor.
Keanu Reeves. I mean, if anybody thinks he's a good actor, I think he's not.
I liked the best thing I liked him in was hold on, train's going. That's all right. The Devil's Advocate, another Al Pacino movie. I thought that was the best thing I've seen him in. But I've seen him in a lot of things. Bill and Ted, and some other things. But
Yeah.
I think Bela Lugosi is underrated. But what are you going to do? That's me. I'm a partial fan of Lugosi in the old days. Overrated actors.
Well, John Cazale is underrated. Unfortunately, all 5 movies that he was in was nominated for an Academy Award. I mean, that's not why he's an underrated actor. He's fantastic in all 5 of those films as well.
Well, I don't think his character was supposed to. I think you're kidding, right, Oliver?
He's not likable in anything, as far as
he is. 10 times he's likable in a Poseidon Adventure. Well, or is he? I don't know.
But he's not. He's not really likable. He's sort of he's not really likable. He's a leader, and you need him to be like that. But he's not really. You wouldn't want to go get a beer with him after the ship, after he got rescued on the ship. He's not likable.
I disagree. It's a matter of opinion, and I disagree. I like him in that. I know somebody else who liked him in there. The character played by what's that girl's name? Pamela Sue Martin. She's got a crush on him in the movie. He's more likable in that movie than, say, Ernest Borgnine's character.
Well, he's more likable, but that doesn't mean he's kind of likable in the Royal Tenenbaums, but he's still not.
Kind of, but he's still not a great
guy.
Yeah, he's still a scumbag, and
he's still a scumbag. He's a more likable scumbag than he usually is, but he's still
Unforgiven. He's not likable. Hoosiers okay. Hoosiers maybe, but
I don't know, but he's definitely a disturbing guy in this. I want to go underrated here because I'm going to go a little. People argue about this, and they'll argue about this till people stop talking about movies. But I'm going to say that Marilyn Monroe is an underrated actress.
I would say, she's not bad really. From what I've seen her in.
He's better than people give her credit for.
Yeah. And Brad Dourif, I tell you one thing. I mean, he's great in Cuckoo's Nest. I think.
Yep. Fantastic in Cuckoo's Nest. I think he did get a nomination for that, if I remember.
It's really, really good. How about Lex? As he would say, Lex Luthor. I am Lex Luthor. Instead of saying Lex Luthor. I guess it is Luthor. I don't know. Oh man. And and going back to this with Brad Dourif, he's in Exorcist 3. I can appreciate him in that movie now. He goes on a bit, man. I remember when I first saw that movie. I love Exorcist 3 by the way. It's to me it is a really good movie. It's one of those movies that has gotten better and better with age. And I remember seeing it in the theater and not liking it when it premiered. And then I saw it on TV. I think it worked better as a TV kind of film thing. It's a detective story more than anything, with some elements of horror in it. But it's really a detective kind of story with George C. Scott. And Brad Dourif I think he's a little over the top in it. But, Cuckoo's Nest. Brad Dourif. All right, folks, we got just another minute or so, and I got to get rolling here.
We got time for 200 or 300 more questions.
I tell you, that ain't easy being me. Jason Miller. I didn't see him in a lot, but he's great in The Exorcist, and he's great in Exorcist 3.
Yeah, he played John Travolta's brother in Saturday Night Fever. If I'm thinking of the right guy or the same guy.
I'm thinking it might be somebody who looks like him. I'm not sure.
No, it wasn't. I remember now. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same guy. It wasn't the same guy.
Yeah, I didn't get to see him in a lot of things. He's in the movie Light of Day with Joan Jett and Michael J. Fox. He plays the dad and doesn't have much to do in it. But The Exorcist, he's very good. Exorcist 3 is pretty good too. And he wasn't supposed to be in Exorcist 3 originally, and I'm glad the studio, that's one of those movies that the studio insisted this and that, insisted there be an exorcism in the movie, even though the guy who wrote it and directed it, William Peter Blatty, is the guy who wrote the original Exorcist.
Right.
And he wanted this to be a film called Legion, Exorcist 3. He didn't want to call it Exorcist 3. The studio made him call it Exorcist 3. And they had to have an exorcism in it because and he didn't want to put an exorcism in it either. It was different from his vision. They have a director's cut out there, but I will say, sadly, the director's cut to me is not as good as the studio version. So, in this case, woo, light of day. And I don't know what's up with that. If it's music rights, if it's that's held up, it's never been on DVD officially. That movie is really. It's like to give my regards to Broad Street type of vibe for me with that movie. When I watch that, it's grim, it's miserable, a miserable movie. I just, there's something about it I can't stand.
It's not a great film.
Yeah. And I think I'm gonna say okay now, folks, because I got to get going. So thank you all for being here. Please come back next time we do this. We're going to try to do it again next Thursday, the same time, about 5:30 p.m. Eastern, if everybody can make it, and we'll be here. Or at the very least, I'll be here. So thank you, everybody in the comments. Thank you, Tim and Tom, and watch some movies or something. Will you talk to us about? Because I still got to do Halloween movies, and I watched 5 so far. We're up to October 17th this month. So I wasn't promising you anything. I covered my ass in my video. I said maybe I'll watch 1. Who knows? Or 3. So
watch something you normally wouldn't watch.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. This stuff. Although I do go for.
Well, I'm talking to talking to people out there too. Try something different that you normally wouldn't.
Yeah, there you go. And by the way, for people want to know, you can skip Exorcist 2. You can watch the original Exorcist and go right to 3. You don't need to have 2 is like it doesn't exist almost, so you can do that. Light of D came out on DVD, just not locally, meaning like
probably international, probably.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are some films that you have to get overseas if you have a region-free player.
Like Death Wish 2 uncut, which I think I still think you can get that in the U.S. Got to see Death Wish 2 uncut. That's all I could say. All right, everybody. Talk soon. Cheers.
Cheers.